Shalom, brothers and sisters. It's your brother Yahawashi. I want to give all the glory and praise to Yahawashi. Peace, salutation, the hopeful elect, scattered abroad across the four corners of the earth, learning and teaching this gospel in truth and sincerity. Shalom. Today I want to go into, you got to be humble or you're going to get humbled. Because right now we're in the last days and we see how people are walking in great pride. They're not being humble in these last days, as we can see, which a lot of people need to be it. It's the way that you want to be in these last days because you don't want to go against Yahweh, the way that Yahawashi, we ought to walk as he walked. So we can't try to make ourselves of that number. Like I said a couple of weeks ago when I was making a house lesson, I believe, or on the block, I said, like Paul said, you can't try to make yourself of that number. A lot of people are saying this and that, making it seem like they're already of that number, counting themselves to that number. And Paul said not to do that. We see a lot of people saying they're King David. There's been like 3 people now. Also, someone said they were Elijah the prophet. You see it on Vocab Malone, his page. He interviews him because he loves that stuff. He feeds off of it. He's always trying to make the Israelite community look bad. So this is what right here. Let's get this. And so Paul went into that. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 12. For we dare not make ourselves of the number. You can't make yourselves of the number. That's why James chapter 4 says Yahweh willing this or that. Yahweh Radazah. Or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. Yeah, so it's not wise to measure yourself among those type of people, among themselves and comparing themselves among themselves. Man, you're not supposed to compare yourselves among other people. That's not wise. That's what Paul's letting you know, because this ain't a competition. We all got that same penny and we're supposed to treat everybody equal. We're all trying to make it into the kingdom. Yahawashi. That's why you got to let the brotherly love continue, stay in the fruits of the spirit, and be a loving brother to among the brethren. Right here, compare ourselves with some that commend themselves. Commending yourselves, that's going into you're praising yourself, also establishing yourself. So let's get verse 13. But we will not boast of things without our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which Yahweh had distributed to us. So we're not going to boast above the authority we have. We're going to only boast above the authority we do have, which we only boast in the Mashiach, as the scriptures say as well. We boast in the Mashiach, because we're speaking this word. We're only going to exalt Yahweh Shem Yahawashi through this word. Every knee shall bow when he comes. We know he's the way, true, and the life. We boast in the Mashiach. We speak the red letter, and we exalt him, and he will exalt us in due time, as it tells you in the book of James. We don't do this for clout, views, likes, comments, to praise you. We don't do this for the praise of men. We do this all for Mashiach, to exalt Mashiach. This is why the apostles were persecuted. They were martyrs, because they were always exalting Yahweh Shem Yahawashi, not themselves. And we see that in these last days, just people don't want to hear it. Like how Yahawashi said, I receive me if I come in my Father's name, but another name you will receive. Yeah, that's the only time they will listen. And we see as well that these Pharisees, they didn't want to believe unless the Pharisees and the rulers believed. That's why they asked that, roughly paraphrasing. So there's just a lot of people don't want to hear it out. They're ordained to this condemnation because they don't want to take heed, and it's all predestination. At the end of the day, that's their lot. So we're going to stay in our lot as we are preaching this word, just casting out that seed, looking for the hopeful elect. Yahawashi, we have that number. Right here going into, you don't want to boast as well. We see what happened to Thutis. He boasted and he got destroyed. Like I said, 70 times 7 with that. We will not boast things of our measure, but according to the measure of the rule which Yahweh had distributed to us, a measure to reach even unto you. For we stretch not ourselves beyond our measure, as though we reach not unto you, for we come as far as to you, also in preaching in the gospel of a Mashiach. And so we're not going to stretch ourselves among our measure, going into, like I was saying, among our authority. Paul's saying he's come as far as to you, also preaching in a gospel of a Mashiach. He came to Corinth preaching his gospel, the good news, verse 15. Not boasting of things without our measure, that is, of other men's labors, but having hope when your faith is increased, that ye shall that we shall be enlarged by you according to the rule abundantly. You see, we're not going to boast without our authority, without our measure of other men's labors. We're not going to boast. We're not going to take credit for the work someone else has done. Someone does that work goes to them. They get someone baptized named Mashiach Yahawashi, that work goes to them. Like the scriptures say, your works will follow you in the end, like it tells you in the book of Revelation. So we're just hoping that their faith will grow and that our work among them will be greatly enlarged. So only Yahawashi Yahawashi is going to enlarge it. Like I said, Yahawashi Yahawashi is going to be the one to lift us up, to preach the gospel in the regions beyond you, and not to boast in another man's line of things made ready to our hand. Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to preach the good news wherever we go. Like Paul's saying, wherever he went, he would post, he would preach the good news. And no one else is doing the work, man. End of the day, you can't say that you're going in someone else's territory. We're not going to boast in another man's line of things made ready to our hand. Verse 17, but he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. 17, but he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. Yeah, we glory in Yahawashi. Whatsoever ye do it in the glory of Yahawashi Yahawashi. As Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. Whether we eat, drink, or so on and so forth, we glory in Yahawashi. Not he that commendeth himself is approved, but whom the Lord commendeth. Yes, so let the Lord commendeth you. I praise Yahawashi, praise you. Like scripture say, let another man's mouth praise you. This one as well. It's the book of Luke, chapter 18, verse 9. It's going into the Pharisee and the publican. And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as the other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as the publican. I fasted twice this week. I gave tithes all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. That's what you want to be. You want to humble yourself. This Pharisee wasn't humbling himself. He was in that prideful, boastful spirit. You can see he was boasting in what he has done. You're only supposed to keep it between you and the Father what you do and stay humble. And that's why he was more justified than the other, because he didn't exalt himself. See, was being in that prideful and boastful spirit, like I was saying, and he was trying to exalt himself more than above the publican. As we can see, the publican was saying, be merciful to me, a sinner," having that contrite spirit, being that humble spirit, acknowledging his offense, and that's why he was justified more than the Pharisee. And we know it says in the scriptures too, when you fast, Yahawashi said, appear not thy fast unto men. So we see in the scriptures, the Pharisee was already going against that by being pride and boastful. We see the Pharisee, he tried to exalt himself and he got abased. The Lord hates a proud heart in this truth, as we can see. Because you don't want to be in that proud spirit. You want to remain humble. A lot of our people in Babylon the Great have a proud spirit, flexing on each other, whether it be of raiment or money. We see in the book of Sirach, chapter 11, tells you not to boast upon thy raiment. Let's get that one right quick. The Sirach, chapter 11, verse 4, boast not of thy clothing and raiment, and exalt not thyself in the day of honor. For the works of the Lord are wonderful, and his works among men are hidden. You see, Yahawashi Yahawashi, the works among men are hidden. So like I say, you want to keep your works hidden till Yahweh Shem Yahweh, just remain humble and he will exalt you. But you don't want to boast upon your clothing and raiment. Like when we were in the world, that's what a lot of people would do. They would boast because they got a Gucci belt, because they got Louis Vuitton, because they got the new shoes, the new J's. Trust me, I was in the world. This is how I was. So I can exactly relate to this. And you don't want to exalt yourself in the day of honor. That colon is equal to it, because for the works of the Lord are wonderful, and his works among men are hidden. You don't want to exalt yourself because the works of Yahweh Shem Yahawashi are hidden, and his works are wonderful. Don't exalt yourself, because that's going to be your downfall. Because that's why we gotta continue to stay on the straight and narrow. You don't want to think you're better than somebody. That type of spirit, and I got this and I got that. That spirit is the type of spirit that Yahweh Shem Yahawashi hates. Yahawashi goes into that, paraphrased in what we just went into in Luke 18. You got to humble yourself to be exalted. See, that's why, Isaiah chapter 2, he's going to bring down a haughty and proud spirit. Yahweh Shem Yahawashi is. So we need to make sure that we have that humble spirit, because the scriptures say the meek shall inherit the earth, and the prayers of the humble pierceth the cloud. So it's very important and beneficial, because Yahweh Shem Yahawashi is dealing with those who don't have a proud spirit. Scriptures tell you that knowledge puffeth up, but I think they know all these scriptures and they get proud because they know a breakdown and this and that, but charity edifies. So you have to remain humble at all times, because Yahweh Shem Yahawashi gave you that understanding. There's no reason we should have a proud and haughty spirit on us in these last days. It's especially in this truth, because we're supposed to be holy, set apart. Most of the people in this world, they are haughty. Proverbs chapter 16. Verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So we see right here that this is a perfect example why not to be prideful, because it goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So either way, that's your downfall. As we can see right there is what is explaining. Because we see these UFC fighters, they walk in pride and then they end up losing. That's a perfect example in sports, when teams get in that prideful spirit up by like 15 points, and then the other team comes back and ends up beating them. We've seen this perfect example, the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Look how much they were up on the Chiefs at halftime. They were probably prideful, thought they were going to win. Then Mahomes comes back in halftime and gets the win. It's another example. Yahweh Shem Yahawashi humbles those people in a lot of ways. So a lot of different ways, man. So we can see that's just an example. Verse 19, better is it to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. You want to be in a humble spirit with the lowly. The lowly is the meek. So, Proverbs chapter 29. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 23. A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. So we see his pride shall bring him low. This lines up with what Yahawashi said. He that exalteth himself shall be abased, but he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. Because we see a man's pride shall bring him low. But we see that a person that is humble in the spirit, it will lead to him being honored. Honor will uphold him. So that's why we want to be in a humble spirit, because honor will uphold them. All right, let's get right here as well. Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 11. The lofty looks of a man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Yahweh Shem Yahawashi alone shall be exalted in that day. Yeah, because preeminence is of Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. Like I was getting into, you don't want to have preeminence in these last days, trying to be a Diotrephes, trying to exalt yourself. You want to be the way ought to walk as he walked, Yahawashi. He wasn't exalting himself when he walked on this world 2,000 years ago. And as we can see right here, that Yahawashi is the one to be exalted. Because as well, it tells you that in the book of Colossians chapter 1, Paul said the preeminence is of Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. So he's the one that gets the preeminence, not us. Speaking this word, we're exalting Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. That's why, like I was getting into, that the apostles were martyred over it. Because it's like some of us are going to be martyred as well for exalting Yahweh Shem Yahawashi's word. Guillotine's already ready to go. Come on, so we get right here. It says a day of reckoning coming. Is the day Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. So let's just get right here, verse 12. Because this is the day of reckoning. Is coming for those people who don't want to listen, want to be proud, and they're going to learn the hard way, man. So let's get right here, verse 12. For the day of Yahweh of hosts, Yahweh Shem Yahawashi and his angels, shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all the pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Yahweh Shem Yahawashi alone shall be exalted in that day. Like I was saying, preeminence is Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. Yahweh Shem Yahawashi is going to be exalted in that day. And if you want to have a proud spirit, you're going to get brought low. Like I said, Proverbs in 16, when we just went into, a haughty spirit gets brought down. Pride goes before destruction. So that's what's going to happen. This is another example of that, Proverbs 16 and 18. So you got to examine yourself, because it goes for all of us. Because we can all fall into this. And then whenever we see it, we got to notice it and backtrack from it and repent and be humble. Because you got to get that proud spirit off of you. This is James chapter 4 and verse 6. But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but he giveth grace to the humble. He giveth grace to the humble. That's what we want to be, in that grace. Peter said, grow in knowledge and in grace. That's what we're growing in. And so that's what we want. That's why we got to remain humble. You get this word, you got to be humble to get this word. That's why he's giving you grace is for the humble. This is what it's going into. So the point is to be humble and lowly, not proud. Let's just see right here. Let's go in verse 10. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. So that's what I was getting at when I was saying Yahweh Shem Yahawashi is going to be the one to lift us up in these last days. We're not looking for clout, publicity, going on these talk shows, like going to talk to Vocab Malone, like a lot of these people are doing just for clout, going on No Jumper just for clout, but they're not bringing out the gospel. They're not bringing out the message of Yahweh Shem Yahawashi. They're not telling you the red letter, all of it, the true Hebrews 6, the foundation, water baptism in the name of Mashiach Yahawashi for remission of sins, the salvation, enduring to the end, that you shall be saved after the water baptism, through the sanctification process and enduring, so on and so forth. They're not telling you the pathway to salvation. And that's what people need to understand, is this is the path, and it's a straight gate. Only not everybody's going to find it. Many are called and few are chosen. Like I was getting into, that's why you don't want to be exalting yourself, because Yahawashi is going to be the one to lift you up. Like Yahawashi said, he that humbleth himself shall be exalted, like I was getting into. And the scriptures say the meek shall inherit the earth. Let's get right here. Book of Sirach, chapter 35, verse 17. The prayer of the humble pierceth the clouds, and till it come nigh, he will not be comforted, and will not depart, till the Most High shall behold the judge righteously and execute judgment. So we see the prayer of the humble that pierceth the cloud. So that means that Yahweh Shem Yahawashi will hear your prayers if you are humble, if you're in that lowly spirit. So that's really important to be humble in this walk, because Yahweh Shem Yahawashi, he knows the heart. He knows the mind. He knows your true intentions. So you got to know and be fully persuaded at your own mind that you're humble to the best of your ability to have faith that he's going to hear your prayer. Get right here as well. I brought this one out on the blog, but this lines up with the lesson, so let's get it. It's 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and forgive their sin and will heal their land. So when you come into this truth, you got to be humble. And it is important because it's going to lead you to the straight gate. It's going to lead you to coming into this truth and ultimately getting baptized in water named Mashiach Yahawashi for remission of sins, getting your past sins washed away and having a good conscience toward Yahawashi because your past sins are washed away and you follow the operation of Yahweh. And it's going to keep you away from wicked ways. And that's beautiful, Yapa, that you're doing that because you're on the straight and narrow and you're on the pathway to everlasting life. So it's a huge thing to humble yourself so you wouldn't have people to be that light unto others, of course, and he will hear you because he's not going to hear a proud spirit. He's only going to hear those he knows who are his, as the scriptures say. So let's get right here. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, and verse 4. By humility and the fear of Yahweh are riches, honor, and life. So you see, you got to have humility. You got to have the fear of Yahweh, Bashim Yahawashi, like I got into in my last lesson on the block. You got to have that humility, man, because that's part of being humble. Here, it's the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 5. 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So you see, you got to be meek to inherit the earth. So let's get that word meek. Meek. Gentleness of spirit, being in the fruits of the spirit. Meek. So let's look that word up as well. You right there, Yahawashi. Tell ye the daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh unto thee meek and sitting upon an ass and a colt the foal of an ass. So we see Moses as we go into the book of Numbers, chapter 12, in verse 3. And now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. So if any man was able to be in that pride, it would be Moses, because he got the laws from Yahawashi. That was that angel that gave him the laws in Mount Sinai in the 40 days when he was went up to Mount Sinai. So we see that he could have been proud because he knew there's things he's seen that he could have been in that prideful spirit, but he wasn't. He was very meek above all men which were upon the face of the earth. So we see Yahawashi as well. He was low, meek upon an ass. So Yahawashi as well was meek. Our forefathers were meek, and that's what we need to be in these last days. Perfect example of why we need to be meek, because everything was written was for a foretime for our learning. Meek definition: quiet, gentle, easily imposed on, submissive. Submissive. That's heavy right there, because a long suffering, you got to have that patience. You're patient. This is it being in the fruits of the spirit, like I was saying. And submissive, a wife is supposed to be submissive to her husband. And Yahawashi, he's the bridegroom, and we're the bride. Israel is likened unto a woman. So we are supposed to be submissive to our husband, which is Hamashiach Yahawashi. So the meek are going to be the ones submissive unto Hamashiach Yahawashi. You got to be quiet and gentle. These are the things you ought to be if you're going to ought to walk as he walked. Like what we read in earlier, man. And being lowly in the spirit. This is being lowly in the spirit. Quiet, gentle, easily imposed on, submissive. So it tells you right there, lowly next to humble, right by modest. So that's why you want to be lowly in these last days. You got to be lowly to be as a servant of Hamashiach Yahawashi. Let's go right here as well. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 76, verse 9. When Yahweh arose to judgment to save the meek of the earth, Salah. So Yahweh Shem Yahawashi, when judgment comes on earth, Yahawashi is going to save all the meek of the earth. So it's really important that you, like I said, the meek shall inherit the earth. So it's really important to be meek in these last days. You can't be trying to exalt yourself. Yahawashi will exalt you in due time. He will lift you up. Like we read already in the book of James. He will lift you up. Because you don't have to, you can't self-will yourself to that. You can't be self-willed trying to exalt yourself or mimicking other people. You got to be yourself and be meek and be humble and move in the spirit like how you're supposed to in these last days. So let's get right here as well. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 31. It's like Proverbs chapter 3 and start at 33. The curse of Yahawashi is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the inhabitants and blesseth the habitation of the just. Yeah, so the wicked, it's like these 2/3, the enemies of the cross, the false brethren, because we're exalting this word. So we have enemies just like Yahawashi did, false brethren, family members, so on and so forth. So the curse of Yahawashi is in the house of the wicked. These people are cursed because they're not in the fruits of the spirit, as well as Esau, Edom, in Psalms 83, the enemies, man. Verse 34, surely he scorneth the scorners, but he giveth grace unto the lowly. And I made a lesson on that recently too. That he scorneth the scorners. Yahawashi, he scorneth the scorners. So we see these mockers, they're just, Yahawashi mocks you too. But he gives grace unto the lowly. And that's what we're looking for, that grace to be in good favor. Now let's get that word lowly. So this word lowly, poor, afflicted, humble, wretched, poor, needy. And what does it say in Psalm 72? The poor and the needy are going to be the ones saved by Yahawashi. So like I was saying, it's really important that you got to be meek in these last days to get saved by Yahawashi. Verse 35, the wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the promotion of fools. So the wise are going to be the ones that inherit the glory. That's the elect. They're going to be the lowly is the elect. Yahweh Adzawi of that number. But shame shall be the promotion of fools. So you don't want to be a fool in these last days, because that's going to be the shame for them. Get right here is Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 16. These 6 things doeth Yahweh hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. So we see right here a proud look. That's what we're getting into right now. You don't want to be proud. Also, a lying tongue. You don't want to have a lying tongue. If someone asks you a question about the doctrine, which, of course, if they just want more clarification on it, you shouldn't lie to them for whatever reason you have, just because you don't want them to know this or that, so on and so forth. You can't lie to them, because then that's putting a stumbling block before your brother, because he will believe that. And what if he teaches that? That's a stumbling block. And if that happens, then you just separate from that. Because you don't want to be around that. So it's going into right here, the hands that shed innocent blood. You don't want to shed innocent blood. And while we're preaching this word, we don't want to have any blood on our hands as well either. That's why we're coming at you in meekness and just trying to tell you the 100% true gospel to the best of our ability, because that's all we can do, is not add to the word, because we know that would be to the plagues thereof if you add to this word. But yeah, Yahawashi, he ain't dealing with the proud. I said a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. He's not dealing with the proud. As we see in Isaiah 2, what we read, he's going to bring them low in the day of Yahawashi. So you got to be meek, because they're going to be the ones that will inherit the earth. Yahawashi, he was humble. That's why I said we ought to walk as he walked. He was the example at the end of the day. He's the way, truth, and the life. He's the one we're supposed to be following. From the top. If there be any consolation in the Mashiach, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind. So we got to be of one accord, of one mind, walking in the fruits of the Spirit, not lying to one another, put off the old man, and not lie to one another in his deeds. If we're gonna answer any question we can to according to this doctrine to the best of our ability. We're not gonna lie to anybody if someone has a question, not gonna lie on the doctrine as well. That's being hypocrisy if you're saying that too as well, and then you lie. So that's what we ought not to be. We can't be hypocrite as well, because that's not the way to go about things. That's not being in the fruits of the spirit. And Yahawashi will repent from that. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. So we can't let nothing be done in strife or vainglory. We're not going to be doing anything trying to get clout from anybody or through strife, because envy and strife that's where every evil work is, roughly paraphrasing. It can't be like that. You got to be lowliness of mind. You got to be humble, and let each esteem other better than themselves. You can't be not being equal. Also, as well, you don't want to be selfish. You want to put others above than yourselves. You don't want to try to impress others as well. You got to put Yahawashi first and put others above yourself. That's why being meekness and humbleness and not exalting yourself. Verse 4, look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. And you want to look on the things of others. You don't want to look on your own things. You got to look out for other brothers. If you got to put a brother on, like how Solomon, when he inherited the ones that David slayed, the ones that were left over, when he took over from David, King David. He put on his Israelites. He put on his own, and he put the heathen in subjection into slavery. That's the same way Yahawashi is going to put his people on too. He's going to give them a portion of what he's going to get. That's what we got to do. Verse 5, let this mind be in you, which was also in a Mashiach Yahawashi. This mind is in a Mashiach Yahawashi. He thinks this way. This is how a Mashiach Yahawashi is. Mashiach Yahawashi, he's a perfect example of being meek. He washed the 12 disciples' feet, even Judas's, who was the one who betrayed him. That's a perfect example of being meek and showing equalness amongst the brethren as well. That brotherly love, who being in the form of Yahweh thought it not robbery to be equal with Yahweh, but made himself of no reputation and took upon him the form of a servant, was made in the likeness of men. So we see right here, Yahawashi was on the earth and he was not trying to make a name for himself. He only exalted the Father. That's what Paul stated. Like I was saying, preeminence is of the Lord's. Right here, it tells you, he took on the form of a servant, and that's what we're supposed to do. Some people become proud. Yahawashi made himself of no reputation. Shows you he was lowly. Like I said in Matthew 21:6, lo, he come lowly on an ass. So we see right here, verse 8. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbleth himself, that humbleness, that meekness, and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. So we got to be obedient unto death like Yahawashi was. Like it tells you, but if you be faithful unto death, you shall receive the crown of life. And that's what we're trying to get, the crown. And we're not going to let no man take thy crown, as the scriptures say as well, because that's what we ought not to do. We ought to walk like Yahawashi. So we're going for the crown. We're going for the incorruptible crown. We're not going for a corruptible. So we see right here that you got to be obedient unto death. You got to be obedient to Yahawashi and follow the volume of the book and follow what Yahawashi says. He's obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. He endured to the end. He fulfilled his course like how Paul did. He fought the good fight of faith. We all got to drink of that cup. The master is not above his servant, roughly paraphrasing. So we got to go through this as well. We got to be obedient unto death, knowing that we might have to die for this truth. And we got to be willing. That's why you count the costs when you come into this truth, as the scriptures say. You got to be ready for that. So we got to follow his footsteps and stay in this spirit, showing that brotherly love, man. And Yahawashi, we have that number. Because as we could see, Yahawashi, he was humble. He was meekest. He was the meek example to show you how to be. And how much more we got to be humble. So Yahawashi was, how much more us to the hopeful elect. We got to be lowly as well, like he was. So verse 9, wherefore God had highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name. So we see the example right there, like it said in the book of James. Yahawashi humbled himself. He did the will of the Father, like how we're supposed to, the hopeful elect. Yahawashi, we have that number, and conquered death, got the victory, humbled himself, and he was obedient unto death. And if we follow his footsteps, like how it says, follow his steps in the book of Peter, we got to put on the sufferings of Yahawashi. So if we stay in the spirit, showing this brotherly love, Yahawashi, we have that number and joint heirs with Yahawashi, because he's going to be the King of Kings and Lord of Lords in heaven, which is going to be on earth. The hopeful elect will endure and walk this walk that we ought to walk, like I'm saying. Because if we are of that number, we'll receive that portion of what he is receiving, like I was saying, like how Solomon put his people on in the time when he was ruling, and with the 40 years of peace, when they were drinking and being merry for those 40 years. He's going to put on his elect, as it tells you that in the book of Revelation chapter 2. And like I said, like how Solomon put on his people, man. He took over those heathen, put them to slavery, the leftover from King David. So we see right here, let's get verse 10. And that at the name of Yahawashi, every knee should bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth. And that every tongue should confess that Yahawashi Mashiach is Lord, to the glory of the God the Father. So yeah, people are going to confess Yahawashi is the Lord. He's going to be exalted in his return. He's not going to meet thee as a man, as the scriptures say. Every knee shall bow. This was the results of Yahawashi humbling himself on earth and being obedient unto death 2,000 years ago when he came on this earth. And this is how we should be in these last days. Now, so because he's not going to exalt us if we don't be the way of him. We got to follow the example. Because every tongue is going to confess his name, Yahawashi. And they're going to bow to the King. So let's get right here, 1 Peter chapter 5. Verse 6. I'll start at verse 5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder, yet all of you be subject to another, and be clothed with humility. So you got to have yourself in that humility, and submit yourselves unto the elder. So anyone that's the elder in this walk in the body, you got to be submit unto them, to the best of your ability. Yahweh resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble. So Yahweh resisted the proud and giveth grace to the humble. This is the grace that we want to receive, like I was going into. Verse 6, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time. So you got to humble yourselves, therefore, in the mighty hand of Yahweh, and he may exalt you in due time. Verse 6, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time. So that's the same example of Yahawashi, Philippians 2. He was obedient, humble on earth, and now he is glorified and exalted. How much more the hopeful elect, because the meek shall inherit the earth, as the scriptures say. Chapter 3, I made an Instagram post about this one not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago, showing you that the mysteries are given unto the meek. I'm sure I paraphrased it on the blog too as well, because this is one of my favorite precepts. So let's start right here at verse 18. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord. And that favor you're finding is that grace. That's that favor you're finding. You find, because grace is having the favor of the Lord. That's what you want. You want that grace. You want to find that favor before the Lord. Verse 19. Many are in high place and of renown, but the mysteries are revealed unto the meek. So your many are in a high place. They got a lot of views, 6K views, 1,000 views, 6K followers, 7K followers, so on and so forth. And then they'll brag about it too. You'll sound like, hey, we got, like, they'll even bring it up. We got like 5K followers. We got like 4K followers. When they're preaching, they'll probably even bring it up because they're proud about it. And you're not supposed to be proud about it. You're not supposed to exalt yourself. When Yahawashi will exalt you. So it's the many are in a high place. We're not worried about subscriptions, likes, comments. Like I said, we're worried about exalting Yahawashi. Many people are in these high places with the views and a lot of comments. Like I said, they'll go viral by like a world star or going on these talk shows, just to get likes and more publicity, more followers, more clout. And they'll go on these no jumper topics, but they're not bringing out the salvation. Only the word is what's going to be exalted, Yahawashi, not us. Like I'm going into, because the mysteries are revealed unto the meek. The meek are going to be the ones to get the volume of the book, to understand the parables, so on and so forth. To the best of your ability, of course, only Yahawashi giveth the increase. We know that. It tells you that in the book of Corinthians. Only Yahawashi will give the increase. Verse 20, for the power of the Lord is great, and he is honored of the lowly. So the only ones that are going to receive the honor are the ones that are lowly and doing the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. This is Psalms chapter 138 and verse 6. Though Yahweh be high, yet he respect unto the lowly, but the proud he knoweth the far off. He knoweth the proud afar off, because he's not dealing with the proud, he's dealing with the lowly. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, he's going to have respect unto the lowly. Like I said, the meek shall inherit the earth. So we see right here, let's finish it off. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, thou wilt revive me. Thou shalt stretch forth thy hand against the wrath of my enemies, and thy right hand shall save me. So that right hand is Yahawashi. He's on the right hand of the Father. So we see he's going to be the one to save the meek from their enemies in the midst of trouble. We know it's coming, the Jacob's trouble. We want to be safe from all our enemies, including the ones that are the enemies of the gospel, man. Verse 8, the Lord will perfect that which concerneth me. Thy mercy, O Yahweh, endureth forever. Forsake not the works of thine own hands. So let's get right here. We don't want Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi to forsake us ever. We don't want our Holy Spirit taken away from us. That's why we got to remain humble in these last days. It's Isaiah chapter 57, verse 15. For thus saith the high and lofty one. Lofty one, that's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. One who inhabiteth eternity. One that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high holy place, and with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi is going to revive the heart of the contrite ones. Like it tells you in Psalms 34, he draws nigh to the contrite spirit. So we see that you got to be of a contrite spirit, because he's going to revive the heart of the contrite one. And we go into that word contrite, it's going into being broken, having a broken spirit. The contrite one's crushed. Be contrite, be broken, because that's the way David was. As we could see when he got rebuked by Nathan for committing adultery, he didn't get proud. He acknowledged his offense. That's what people got to do. They got to acknowledge their offense and repent when they stumbling block before a brother, so on and so forth. You can't do that. That's against the gospel of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. You got to acknowledge your offenses, as it tells you that in the book of Hosea. Seek Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi 10 times more. So he's gonna revive the spirit of the humble, and then that's what we got to be. We got to be humble in these last days. It's really important, because he's gonna revive. He's gonna bring it back to life. He's gonna save it. You want to be in that humble spirit, because you're gonna get revived, and that contrite ones as well, because that's the broken spirit. This is Psalms. Let's get that Psalms 51. It's Psalms 51, and start at verse 16. For though desire not sacrifice, else would I give it. Though delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God, of Yahweh, are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O Yahweh, thou wilt not despise. So he's not going to despise the broken spirit. That's why I say he draws nigh unto it. This is what you got to have, a broken spirit. You got to, and being a broken spirit, that's being humble and knowing when you go off, you have the fear of the Lord. You have the fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, because you're going to get right when you have the fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. So that's how David was when he realized when he committed adultery, when he got rebuked by Nathan. And Nathan rebuked him and said, "This man, that's you, man. You're the one who did this." And he was broken. He repented. He fasted after he did that, after he realized he did that. That's why a lot of people have to fast when they know they go off. That's the sacrifices of Yahweh, man, a broken spirit, broken and contrite heart. And Yahweh Shem Yahawashi is not going to despise it. That's why we're putting up our bodies as a living sacrifice, as the scriptures say. So let's get right here as well. Book of 2nd Esdras. Because great misery is for them that walk in great pride. 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, start at 48. In this, that thou art marvelous before the Most High, and that thou hast humbled thyself as it become thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. So he didn't judge himself to be worthy among the righteous. He didn't exalt himself. He stayed humble. He humbled himself. He didn't exalt himself to be gloried among the righteous. You see, he wasn't counting himself worthy. He was being humble in that meek spirit. The meek shall inherit the earth. And let's just see with verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that are in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. So it's going to be many great miseries for them that have walked in great pride, man. That's why you don't want to be in this prideful spirit, like I was getting into in this lesson, man. You got to humble yourself greatly, because for the vengeance of the ungodly is fire and worms. We don't want to be the ungodly in these last days, man. We're too close to the end. 51. But understand, though, for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. Seek out the glory for such as be like thee, because we want to be with like-minded brothers. You want to seek out the glory for the hopeful elect, the brethren that are following this walk with you, that are following in the fruits of the Spirit, and enduring to the end, hoping that they shall be saved. Yahweh if we have that number. We got to understand that, though, for thyself. You don't want to seek out the glory of the ungodly. Everything was written was for a foretime for our learning. That's why we've seen, like, when Manasseh, he humbled himself greatly before Yahweh Shem Yahawashi when he was 12 years old, for worshiping these other gods, and he got rebuked for doing that idolatry, and the kings of Assyria put him to prison, and he humbled himself before Yahweh Shem Yahawashi when he got sent to Babylon as a prisoner. You see, he humbled himself, and Yahweh Shem Yahawashi heard him. And you see, we read that in the book of the Apocrypha, the prayer of Manasseh. We read the prayer of Manasseh as well, because Yahweh Shem Yahawashi heard his prayer. And Yahweh Radazah, this was edifying.